It's 10 a.m. here in New York City at 99.5 FM, WBAI, and WBAI.org on the web. And it is time for Vantage Point with Professor Ron Daniels.
Smile is in the making. We gotta fight the powers that be.
Good morning. This is the Professor, Dr. Ron Daniels, President of the Institute of the Black World 21st Century and distinguished lecturer at York College, City University of New York, welcoming you to this edition of Vantage Point here on 99.5 FM on this I'm having trouble this morning, Pacifica Network, in collaboration with ycradio.org. That's right, the York College radio station. Okay, well, today we have a show focusing on the quest for black economic empowerment. Two guests immediately coming up, no stranger to WBAI. In fact, I learned about her from one of the volunteers at WBAI who said, you must contact this sister, Nataki Combo. That's how I found out about her initially, and then, a growing relationship. She is the national spokesperson for LetsBuyBlack365. She'll be coming on shortly. And then we have another guest coming on, John William Templeton, and he is the co-founder of Black Business Month. But equally important, we'll be talking about something called Black Wealth 2020, an exciting new economic enterprise that we want to share with our audience. And then finally, tomorrow, of course, the General Assembly is in full roar beginning today. The Orange Man, I guess, will be speaking tomorrow. But so will be General Museveni of Uganda. And the Pan-African Unity Dialogue, which is an initiative of Institute of the Black World 21st Century, is targeting him because of his disruptive, disastrous, murderous behavior in Africa. And Milton Altamati will be coming on at 11 o'clock to tell you about the campaign. We're having a press conference tomorrow at 12 o'clock noon in order to expose Museveni and launch a Stop Museveni campaign. So that's our show for today. Let's get right into it by first and foremost welcoming back to WBAI's Vantage Point, Nataki Combo. Nataki, welcome to Vantage Point.
Good morning, Dr. Daniels. Always, always, always a pleasure, and very thankful to you for putting a show like this together every week, because it is very, very much needed in our community to have this kind of information get to people, because otherwise, people would probably think that that nothing is happening. So this is such a blessing.
Well, we appreciate it, and we appreciate you resending out the promos, because we are trying to, because it is on the internet. People are listening now all over the country, and in some instances all over the world. So we really appreciate that. We're trying to blow up Vantage Point and to have really informative shows like today's show to inform people, educate people, and also tell them how they can act. Right. First of all, I also just want to thank you so much for the incredibly important role that you played facilitating the economic empowerment workshops at the State of the Black World Conference 4. It was truly an amazing conference. It had its weaknesses, and we're trying to correct those, some of which has to do with just our lack of sufficient infrastructure and all that. But you certainly were very, very much on point, bringing your incredible skills to facilitate and bring those models together to have really, really very strong working sessions on Saturday, and continued even after the conference, and may even still be doing some incredible things. So first of all, let's just talk about that. The State of the Black World Conference, the ongoing effort that you made to keep, a cluster of people still being in conversation.
Yeah, it definitely was an incredible conference, just unparalleled. I think one of the things going into the conference that you made really clear to those of us who were organizing any of the tracks was that you wanted people to be able to leave the conference with direct specific actions and direct specific action items, so that it wasn't just, getting together, in somebody's hotel somewhere and then leaving with a feel-good thing that faded away. And so I definitely took that message to heart. And when I met with Dr. Frazier and Reverend Dillon, that was something that we kept in mind in terms of how we orchestrated the session. But yeah, since the conference, it has been fantastic. What we did at the conference was really look at what do we want. And so in that Saturday session that I moderated, people talked about, you know, the economic problems, the debt, and the plan for debt slavery that is intentionally wreaked upon people with creating that consumer mindset, so people feel like they need the stuff, and when I go get the stuff, even if I can't afford it, I would rather use the credit card and not have the money and all that. So the debt, dealing with where and how we spend our money, and looking at companies that don't support our communities, and especially those that are invested in the prison industrial complex and things, and saying that, you know, we don't want to just have boycotts, which are temporary. We want to have just permanent, ongoing campaigns where people say, not with my dollar. I am no longer supporting a company that has had embedded in its history all of these atrocities to our community. I'm taking my dollars to companies so that future companies know you can't just do it until you get caught and then try and rectify. You need to have ingrained in your organization not having those kinds of atrocities from the beginning. And then, of course, buying black. So Let's Buy Black 365. We had Ulu, us lifting us, talking about cooperatives, and of course ComproTax, which is, you know, the multi-million-dollar black-owned tax company that has really mastered franchises in a way that people can get into business at a very low price point, literally hundreds of dollars, and then grow into an enterprise that is employing people, that is sustaining you and your family and your community. You know, Jackie Mayfield and Fred Zeno and Yusuf Muhammad and Craig Johnson at ComproTax have created 8 black millionaires, I think it is,
Yes.
through that ComproTax model. And what I think is most brilliant about that model is that it's not just, you know, we don't need more black people with money just for the sake of having more black people with money. We need more black people with money and entrepreneurial endeavors that are committed to community, because those who are committed to community are really reshaping how our neighborhoods operate, how it really affecting lives on an individual level. And that's what Let's Buy Black 365 is also about, is how does, you know, economics is this broad concept, but how do we have changes that affect us on a personal level, where my actions directly, I can see some benefit in the short term, because, you know, some of us are tired and, you know, it's good to put in work for the long term, but you know, we've been working since the conference on making some very, very exciting things happen on a personal, individual, and also business and enterprise level. So that's been really, really exciting.
Well, and we really, really appreciate it very much, the work that you've been putting in. And, you know, and I say that because really we, with the Institute of the Black World 21st Century, really want to be able to do that in all the areas, and to be much stronger in being kind of that resource center that helps this, to push this forward. I mean, that's kind of what's lacking to some degree, is, and you're doing with Let's Buy Black 365, and there are other entities doing it, and that's a great thing, because we just gotta, you know, that focus, and that there may be circles that are out there, and then the connectivity between those circles can really begin to, as you say, reshape our communities. Let's revisit.
Right.
Let's revisit Let's Buy Black 365. It's been a while since you've been on, so just let everybody know the basic premise of what's the Let's Buy Black 365 is, what kind of progress you've made, and if there's anything new and exciting that our audience needs to know about.
Yeah, definitely. So the theory behind Let's Buy Black 365 was actually best captured in a meme that came out January 1st of last year. And in that meme, it has a picture of a cat, and some of you may have seen this image before. It has a picture of a cat looking into a mirror, and when it sees its reflection in the mirror, it sees a lion. Mm. And what you get from that imagery, if you're visualizing it with me, is that regardless of, maybe how you look or feel in size or stature, it's really about how you see yourself. And so Let's Buy Black 365 is really looking at ending the cycle of just saying we should do something for the community. We should do something economically. We need to, and which is great to say it, but where does the actual change happen? And it shifts it to what was illustrated in the meme, were these three lines: I am the solution, I am the resource my people need, I am Let's Buy Black 365. So I want everyone listening to really internalize that.
Say it again.
And say this for yourself.
You repeat it.
I am the solution. I am the resource my people need. I am the Let's Buy Black 365 movement.
Okay.
And so when you really internalize what those words mean, what you realize is that the when are we going to get together and see change in community and feel change in the community happens when I identify Black-owned companies that are empowering communities. It changes when I stop taking my dollars to companies that are imprisoning our people for profit and slavery, and that are, destroying our health, and that are, destroying the environment. Things change when I change. And so, it may sound corny, but, Michael Jackson's song about the man in the mirror, I just heard that song the other day. It resonates so deeply because and it's hard because it's easier to say we need to do it and then just wait for this mass change to happen. But it's a lot more to take some personal accountability and say, you know what, I am going to be the change. And regardless of whether other people have started moving or not, I'm going to start in that direction. And so what Let's Buy Black 365 has done is put in place three primary activities that people can engage in to really do that. And so we have a crowdsourced business directory where people you don't have to be a business owner. You can be, but it's actually largely not been populated by business owners. It's individuals who've taken that message of I am the solution, who say, oh, I know 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 quality Black-owned businesses. I'm going to add it to this resource directory on Let's Buy Black 365 so that other people can find resources, so that when they decide to stand up and take their dollars to quality Black-owned businesses, I can be the source of information for them. So I'm going to put this business here. I'm going to rate and review it so that other people can know that, hey, I got good quality service from this company and I want you to know about it, which is a very revolutionary model for a business directory. And it's also more cooperative. It really is cooperative economics in that sense, because we're not waiting for someone to hand us a list and compile something and give it to us. Those who are part of Let's Buy Black 365, and even some who haven't, who are not, are creating the resource that we need. So it's really a way to engage on a whole different level. So there's that. There's a social network because so many people have been banned and blocked on these other social networks, and, messages don't get out, or you have to pay, outrageous rates for advertising to get messages to people about what's really going on in community. And so we created this social network called Connect so that people can, post anything political, social, I mean, people post fun things too, or, really interesting, like, music artists that you otherwise wouldn't find out about in this social network, so that it makes our community a lot smaller and we stop feeling like there's nothing happening, there's nothing going on. They're not people who are just as frustrated with what's going on as I am. It lets you connect with people. Literally, we have people from all over the world, Africa, South America, Brazil. We've got a contingent in, I'm forgetting where they're from. They speak Portuguese, and so we've been trying to figure out a way to communicate with them because they don't speak English.
Right.
But they've adopted Let's Buy Black 365 where they are, and are organizing because this is not just a United States-based issue. This is an issue that affects people globally. We've got people in Jamaica who are doing the Let's Buy Black 365 model because even though you would think, oh, it's Jamaica, what people did there are the same things that we've done here, in that, they decided to walk by the Black-owned grocery stores and marketplaces and everything, and now everything is owned by Chinese people who are now able to take that economic power to push people off the land, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's what has also been really exciting within the Let's Buy Black 365 model is that it's really been scalable on an international level to impact communities all through that individual step of deciding, what, these companies that don't hire people who look like me, who are not for my community, who are not of my community, are no longer getting my dollars.
Right.
And where I can, I am shifting to companies that have committed to community to really, really make a change.
Okay, that's the second. Is that the third platform?
The third platform is something that is coming out next month, and that is that we have a TV show and live streaming show
Great.
That is coming out. And we're really, really excited about that. For lack of a better comparison, it's stylistically comparable to like a Good Morning America, in that it invites people to engage. And we wanted to do that in a visual format. We have business owners, individuals, activists, subject matter experts who are sharing practical lifestyle things that can help people on every level, from health and fitness to career to employment to, just all different kinds of things. My co-host, Talib Saber, is a barred attorney who is also a documentary filmmaker and an activist. It's really a show that kind of merges business, activism, and sort of that youthful energy in a way that, people can find goods, services, and just everyday information. And so the goal for the show is that for every segment on the show, the listener or viewer should be able to say, wow, this is something that right now I can apply to my life to make my life better using completely Black resources from Black people.
Great. Wow, you're always growing, always doing something exciting. Let me ask you, I have two other questions I want to address. Three, really. Quickly, what is your, you have a sense of the pulse of where Black America is moving, and even the Pan-African world for that matter, but that's with Black America. There's a lot of, it seems, renewed emphasis. We have these ebbs and flows on economic development, people doing different things and whatever. What do you see the state of the movement now? I mean, do you see it? Do you get a sense that more people are now grasping the need for Let's Buy Black 365 for economic empowerment, economic development? I mean, is it permeating in a way that you think is really beginning to have a major effect?
It really is, and, we get calls all the time, or I get forwarded, this organization is really interested, where, frankly, 2 years ago, there were a lot of organizations that were scared of even saying something like, ooh, Let's Buy Black 365, that sounds too heavy. And now organizations and businesses and individuals are like, this is something that we want to adopt. This is something we want to integrate. We've brought on a couple of heavy hitting sponsors, which is really amazing, and will allow, it will allow us to really, make sure that the show and the information and the practical side of it, like we're talking about practically improving individual lives on a daily basis, so that it stops being this way off in the future distant thing that we're working for, where people can, and there are going to be some long-term things. So that's not to say that, all the gains are going to happen in the short term, but it's also nice to have these individual and collective victories along the way. And so, yes, definitely, we're seeing it pick up. I think with the show coming out, we're going to see it pick up on a whole new level, because there's a visual component that people will be able to see. And, we have guests from literally all over the country, soon all over the world, who are, showcasing what people don't realize is that, there are all these successful models. There are all these successful activities going on, but because, there are not a lot of shows like yours, and unfortunately people rely too much on so-called mainstream media, we don't feel like it's happening. And so by bringing this really relevant on a personal individual level, while also showing how broad it is on a national and international level, it's really, I think it's really going to catapult some of the action and some of the sentiment, which has been really, really heavy. There's so much, not even just in the Black community, but just so much devastation. We've lost so many people. We just spent the weekend memorializing Dick Gregory for his life and efforts, and just seeing how he lived in activism and truth and justice, and he was vegan. He was a legend and lived this life of all these things, and people want to see more of that and want to see, how can I attain that, and so we're giving people what they've really been hungering for.
Right.
I want to give people the phone number for Let's Buy Black 365
Sure.
To get more information, to get involved. There's still opportunities for people if you want to, regardless of where you are in the country, if you want to help with editing, or if you want to, just be involved in the show or with the activities and things that are going on, you can send a text message. You can't call that number, but you can send a text message to 505 652-2365. Again, it's 505-652-2365 with your name, phone number, and email address, and put "get involved," and someone will get back to you. And one last time, that phone number to text your name, phone number, and email address to is 505-652-2365. And then you can also go to LetsBuyBlack365.com/get involved to also get involved.
Finally, I had two things. I have to now skip to just one. And that is the last time we were together in Washington, D.C., we were meeting to sort of catch up. And then you were opening up this, just the Let's Buy Black 365 side. And then there's this whole nother side that I had not been aware of. The fact that you actually are sort of incubate or mentor, or I don't know what the appropriate term is, that you actually take people who have business ideas, select them, and then you actually grow businesses. I wasn't aware of that. Talk about that.
Yeah. Yes. For the last 17 years before, Let's Buy Black 365 is just 3 years old. Before I got involved with Let's Buy Black 365, for the last 17 years, I have been a business management and an accounting consultant. And so what I do is I take companies that have a couple $1,000s or that are, barely profitable and turned them into like $1 million enterprises. And the company is called New Business Solutions, spelled N-U, New Business Solutions. And one of the sad parts about that, or not sad parts, but I love my clients. I've had really, really great companies that I've worked with over the years, but the owners of those companies have not looked like me. And so I got involved with Let's Buy Black 365 for so many reasons, because economics drives so much of what happens in the Black community. But now, with New Business Solutions, I'm very interested in working with entrepreneurs. It's not necessarily a cheap price point. We do things at like $5,000 and $10,000 and $20,000 investment levels to get people to the $1 million level. But really interested in working with entrepreneurs who want to go beyond solo entrepreneurship, who want to grow companies in a way that they can produce jobs, that they can really be influencers in their community. And I would really like to see more of that within our community, because we have so many great entrepreneurs with so much great vision and passion. But that passion, if it only stays, small, can't really do the service for our communities, and doesn't have the capacity to turn into the legacy enterprises that we need to really create the economic empowerment that we're talking about. So if you're interested in working with me on that, you can go to newbusinesssolutions.com. Again, that's spelled N-U, the word business, and then the word solutions. So there are 3 consecutive S's in the middle, .com. And you can watch the little 2-minute video and contact me and say that you heard it on WBAI, because, especially next year, we've got the Power Networking Conference with Dr. Frazier coming up. And I want to be able to bring some people to the stage with me as models of the success that we're talking about duplicating around the country and around the world for Black economic empowerment. If I could give the phone number for New Business Solutions, that's an office number that you can't text. But the phone number for New Business Solutions is area code 301-244-9072. Again, area code 301-244-9072. And definitely, if you call me, let me know that you heard this on Dr. Daniel's show. Because anyone who becomes a client as a result of hearing it on this show, I'll make sure that we contribute something back to IBW so that you can continue doing the work that you're doing. So I didn't know we were going to talk about that, but I appreciate you squeezing that in there.
Well, Taki Kambone, what a powerful 27, 30, whatever we did. It went too fast. I wish I had more time, but I was so happy to discover you're such, you're quiet and all this, and just sort of dropped that and said, oh, you really? You're growing these $1 million businesses and you didn't tell me. Anyway, I really wanted to get that out there. Thank you so much for sharing with our audience today. I will repeat the text information, the website, and all of that as we go deeper into the show. We're devoting the first 2 segments, as you well know, to the quest for Black economic empowerment, and you led off the day brilliantly. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr.
All right. We're going to take a break.